Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we have a first for the channel. No, it's not the model. The model is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Cosmograph Daytona. The reference is 116509. It's the fact that this white gold diamond set Daytona features the Grossular dial. It is a calcium aluminum neosilicate that has an almost heart of ruby-like aesthetic to it. Imagine a red version of sodalite and you have the general idea. You could see in the light the wonderfully soft rippling of the irregular calcium aluminum surface. It is very special, but it's also easy to wear. At 40 millimeters in diameter, 12.1 millimeters thick from lug to lug, it is 47.6 millimeters. If we include the solid end links, the Oyster bracelet, it is 51.7 millimeters, and it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that it wears well. It's low enough to fit underneath the cuff, no problem there. It is fairly broad with the end links of the bracelet. If you have a really small wrist, like under 14 centimeters, take the bracelet off, put it in the box, get it on a strap, and it'll look just fine. But I would recommend the watch as is on the bracelet for a wrist of 14 centimeters circumference or larger. Many women have worn Daytonas on the bracelet, so don't be too glum about the fit. Small wrists can wear this watch. And again, Watchbox gives you a 7-day, no questions asked return policy, so you can try it on. This is the part where I'm obligated to tell you that Rolex has its own foundry. It smelts its own alloys. It makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps, which is why this watch in white gold is actually what's called gray gold in the industry. It's an 18-karat white alloy that's white all the way through and never needs to be rhodium plated. We have here an integrated end link that closes the gap to the case for an integrated look. There's a little bit of a taper down the links. Center links are polished, flanking links are satinated, outer faces are polished, and you can see that removable links of the bracelet are fixed in place using screws. We have an easy link, 5 millimeter tool-free adjustment system, and then you can see there are actually 3 divots drilled inside the clasp body, so you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point and make more fine adjustments. You can see this is the pre-2009 version of the Rolex Oyster clasp. This watch has a Z serial number corresponding to 2006, so this is all correct. It snaps shut, and then there's a clamshell that locks it more securely. Rolling back to the case hasn't changed all that much since 1988. This particular Daytona size and design is something of a perennial. Taking a look at the case band, it's beautifully fluid. We have a little bit of a compound curvature, tapered lugs, polished on their tops, polished on their sides. There's a little bit of a warmer tone to gray gold than rhodium-plated white gold, but again, this is the good stuff. This is what you want. The bezel here is remarkably sharp. You can see its facets are razor-like, and it still features all of the inlaid black lacquer for the tachymeter calibration. You can use the chronograph with the tachymeter primarily to gauge the speed of something like a race car over a kilometer, and that makes sense, as the Rolex Daytona is to this day the winner's gift for the winning drivers in each car, in each class, at the 24 Hours of Daytona every January. It is the world's most coveted racing trophy. We have sapphire crystal over the incredible Grossular dial. Now, I don't know if the light in my box is really going to do justice to this thing. I'm going to do my best. This might be the truest portrayal of its color. You could see it is quite crazy. It is deep ruby red, but it is not uniformly so. It has almost granite-like texture across its top. It's not slick like lacquer. And then you could see that there are impurities that add, well, let's call them freckles. There are little character marks on this dial, so no two of these Grossular dials will be exactly alike. It is a very cool and raw natural material, uncommonly seen on Rolex watches. Now, the rest of the dial is standard Daytona, albeit with gems. We have brilliant cut diamonds, wonderfully subtle. From a distance, they don't register. It's there for your enjoyment. They sit on white gold indices. We have a white gold crown and tri-Arabic numerals, 15, 30, and 45. We have white gold hands, all this white gold, so they will not tarnish or oxidize over time. We have polished chapter rings for the sub-registers. The crown is a trip lock and a screw down. You know it's a white gold trip lock because the center dot is the big one. We have screw down chronograph pushers. The watch is 100 meters water resistant. It does have a solid case back. It has a hacking seconds function, so if you do want to set it, and it's small second subdial, precisely to a reference time. Again, you have that stop seconds function. Screw it back down. Will be 100 meters water resistant again. We've got a column wheel for cycling the functions. It feels crisp. It sounds crisp. It's the more expensive way to make a chronograph, but it is the purist's choice. We also have a vertical clutch, which is a more modern mechanism that allows the seconds hand to engage, stop, and reset perfectly without play or offset, because there is no extra play in a vertical clutch. And if you like to leave your chronograph running full-time, that's another reason to have a vertical clutch. It allows you to achieve full-time operation without additional wear and tear, so you can have your center seconds, minutes, and hours if you just want to forget about the chronograph minutes and hours. Now, the watch has a Rolex manufactured caliber 40-130. It was introduced in 2000. It was the replacement for the long-running Daytona or I should say Daytona with a Zenith caliber. That was the 40-30 Daytona movement based on the Zenith El Primero 400. Now we get Rolex's movement. It has a winding rotor ball bearing rather than a jeweled staff. It was the first modern Rolex movement to have that for better shock resistance. Bidirectional winding, 72-hour power reserve, 4 hertz beat rate, 44 joules, stop seconds, vertical clutch, column wheel, and it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It features a full balance bridge and a free-sprung index for shock tolerance, and it has an overcoil hairspring made of a niobium zirconium alloy that is highly anti-magnetic. The overcoil profile, Breguet, is shaped by hand and allows the watch to keep consistent time in any position because an overcoil profile has more centered mass. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this spectacular Rolex Daytona Grossular dial.